Alright, so what we're doing today is what I think is turning into my husband's favorite dessert, which is a custard pie. So when it comes to doing a custard pie, there's actually almost no dessert that I found that is simpler to do. Basic ingredients that you're gonna need: graham crackers, butter, and sugar for the crust. You're gonna need milk, cornstarch, eggs, and again sugar, and then whatever seasonings you want for a custard. I like to do vanilla, just a little bit of cloves, and then ground cinnamon. Kind of makes it taste like eggnog. So first thing I'm going to go ahead and start is I'm going to go ahead and do the graham cracker crust. There's a lot of different ways to do it. The way I'm doing it is simply butter, graham crackers, and sugar. You melt the sugar and the butter in the microwave while you smash up your graham crackers. You can use a food processor, or you can go ahead and do it the old way and smash the heck out of them. That's the way I like to do it. So we're going to go ahead and you're going to see all that and fast forward. I'm not going to make you wait the entire time. So for those of you who do not know, typically sticks of butter do come with measurements on them. Let's see if I can get a good, aha, there we go. So I'm wanting 6 tablespoons of butter. And then this little guy is just going to go on my butter dish. So typically I like to cut up the butter. I have a melt butter feature on my microwave, but I like to cut it up. It makes it work a little bit faster. Alright, so 1/3 cup of sugar, 6 tablespoons of butter, stick it in the microwave, melt it. So before you start cooking, it's really important to make sure that if you're gonna wipe your hands on yourself, have your apron on. Voila, apron. Alright, so recommendation, if you start doing this regularly, because again, it's a really easy thing to make, I recommend just you're going to crush it up, keep a Ziploc bag, and I just keep this one. I fold it up and I kind of tuck it away in my cabinet so people aren't going to mess with it, and I just reuse it. Alright, so when you're finished smashing it, grinding it, however it is that you decide to go ahead and mix this up, your graham crackers will look like this. Good, smashed, fine. I like to have a little bit of the bigger chunks in there. Adds for more texture later. It all ends up getting smashed together and becomes one giant graham cracker anyway. Obviously, some people don't want to go ahead and make the entire crust from scratch. I actually prefer it. I tried it. I actually spend less time making it from scratch than I would if I were to go all the way down to the store, buy one, bring it home just in the interest of deciding to make a dessert. I also buy my graham crackers in bulk because I have 4 children, and graham crackers are a great snack and really great for making dessert stuff too. And who doesn't love a s'mores every once in a while, right? Alright, so butter and sugar melted-ish. Alright. Pie pan. I like glass ones because they look prettier. All clear and stuff. So, we got our smashed up graham crackers, which is like 1 package of graham crackers. I think it's like 9 full crackers. And then we got our 1/3 cup of sugar and 6 tablespoons of butter. That's literally all there is to the crust. You can either let this stuff chill in the refrigerator, but I prefer not to because usually if I'm making it, I'm going to want to eat it sooner rather than later. So I will go ahead and put this all together in the pan. And then I'm going to bake it at 350 for about 7 to 8 minutes. That hardens it up. Then I'm going to go ahead and stick it in my fridge, and then I'm going to go ahead and make the custard. So you mix it up just a little bit. Go ahead and pour it in. We're going to go ahead and mix it all up, and then what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to smash it down flatten it out. Okay, so one of the benefits to doing this with your hands is you're actually able to feel the thickness of everything and press it into place. This is about what it looks like when it's ready. You just want to make sure it goes up the sides. I did this one time without putting it up the sides, and it made the bottom way too thick, and it made it really hard to serve it. It was a lot harder to cut because you are making this quite hard. So just make sure it feels pressed in and it feels pretty well firm, and that you don't have any spots that feel thinner or weaker than others, and that it's packed in there really good. And then we're just going to go ahead and stick this in the oven real quick. Again, that's going to be for about 7 to 8 minutes. Alright, so we've got our crust in the oven. Next thing is going to come the custard. So the custard, I can go ahead and cook it up. Typically by the time the pie crust is done, the custard is usually ready. So currently, we have these ingredients. I went ahead and poured out my milk so my milk wasn't sitting out on the counter. You need about 2 cups of milk. You need 2 egg yolks, and then you need 2 tablespoons of cornstarch, and then 1/2 cup of sugar. You're gonna go ahead and cook it up in a saucepan. So you want to make sure that with this you are not putting the egg in too soon, or if it's too warm inside the pan. Otherwise you end up with big egg lumps, and then it's more like stir fry versus custard. There's probably people who are going to argue with how to do this, but this is how it's worked so far for me. So I'm going to go ahead and get 1/2 cup. Half cup sugar. This is going to yield about 4 servings. Typically I do this if I'm making 2 pies. Today I'm only making 1, so it just means extra custard for me because I'm cooking. So, alright, and then let's see here. Alright, so everything's got a reason, right, as to why you do whatever you're doing first. I like to go ahead and mix up the cornstarch in with the sugar in the pan. Mix it slowly. If you mix it really fast, what's going to happen is all that cornstarch is going to just, it's really fine. It's just going to go everywhere. And then you're inhaling it, and ugh. So I just slowly kind of mix it up with a spatula, a rubber spatula. I'm going to use this again so to get everything out of this pan. So that's one thing to keep in mind. We're actually going to need a whisk to mix everything up. If you've never done this before, an easy way to do it is to crack the egg. Again, these ones are a little bit difficult because they do have such a thick membrane. And typically you can just pour them from one shell, half the shell to the other. And I just broke the yolk again. Bloop, and get the yolk out, because you just want the yolk. You don't need the shell. I save the egg whites. Wash your hands, don't want salmonella. But again, you just want the egg yolk. I save the egg whites and I end up cooking with them later. I save them in a container, refrigerate them, and make them for breakfast the next morning for myself, or something healthier option versus just eating the yolks. So typically they look all pretty, but this time they're kind of smashed out already because again, I broke the yolk. The membranes on those suckers were just really thick. So things like vanilla extract for this custard, I like to wait because vanilla will burn off. So I put it in once the custard has cooled off a little bit. But things like cinnamon and just a little bit of clove, not a lot, is great. So starting off, because this is the trick here, you see it's more like milk. We just poured the milk in, it's very runny, liquidy. So once I've got everything pretty well stirred up, I don't see any more egg yolk hanging out. I'm going to continuously stir this for about 10 minutes. It'll start to thicken up, and then you'll be able to tell the difference. It will look kind of like pudding. If you've ever done like instant pudding, how it's thick like that, it's going to give you that same consistency. So it'll be very obvious. Initially I started off low. Again, I want everything to warm up gradually. I do not want it too hot too quick. It is going to cook the eggs clumpy if you do that. I'm going to let that set for just a minute because I do have my crust in there still, and I don't want it to do what it's starting to do. So if you leave it in there too long, what happens is it starts to bubble. I don't know if you can see the bubbles. You can see where it's rising up in certain places. You don't want that to happen. There are ways that you can weight it down. There are plenty of good websites that show you how to weight down your crust. But I don't want to. Multitasking at its finest. Be very careful, it is very hot. Alright, so the custard is about done. Just been mixing it, as you saw. See how it's kind of thick? So that's okay. It's going to set up, which means it's going to get thicker as it sets in the fridge. The pie crust is not quite cool enough yet. What's going to happen is once the pie crust cools off, then I'm going to go ahead and put the custard inside the crust, and then I'm going to let it set in my fridge for a couple hours, and then it'll be ready to eat and delicious. So typically I like to do this before I start on dinner, because then by the time dinner's done, everyone's eaten, everyone's stomachs have settled, then my custard is ready to be eaten, and it's absolutely delicious. And most of the time I end up eating like half the custard, so try not to do it too often. But right now, again, trying to figure out how to use all these eggs. So and there it is, yummy fresh custard pie. Alright, so in looking at my video, I realized that there's a few things I left out. Number one, you don't have to use a glass Pyrex pan. You can use things like tin foil ones or whatever you've got available. Number two, if you don't really want to smash up the graham crackers, I'm pretty sure you can actually buy those at the store, according to my husband. But again, it was just more a matter of convenience of what you got in your house, using things for things other than their intended purpose. So again, and if you don't want to do any of those things, you're more than welcome to go ahead and just buy a thing of pudding, and like the instant pudding, and then get one of those little pie crusts from the store and cook that up. So no one would be the wiser, because it all pretty much tastes the same. But again, if you're going for not having to leave your house and doing stuff from scratch, this is a way to do it. Stop looking at me, honey. But otherwise, we're gonna go eat some pie. Okay, so we had our pie. Kids are in bed. We're going to sleep. But if you have any advice, if you have any tips, if you have any comments, any suggestions, recipes that you want to try, just go ahead and leave a comment below. Again, I don't have Facebook or Twitter, so you can't write on my wall. Bleep. Write on my floor. Have a good night, everybody. Or day, I guess. I forgot what I was going to say.
This is your thing, not mine.
It's weird. Gets here.
Oh my god, look at that face.
If you're so sorry, you come to the right place.